Fellow Zambian citizens, we as Tonse Alliance, from the office of the President, President Mpundu, are prompted to make a comment and respond to a statement that was issued by a gentleman being referred to as Solomon NGOMA, who is said to be the chairperson of the Civil Society Election Integrity Forum of Zambia. In the statement of Solomon, he has lamented or insinuated that some political players are insulting the Electoral Commission of Zambia because of the reference to the fact that some commissioners at the Electoral Commission of Zambia are cadres. Now, we feel duty-bound to respond to this statement because of the misplacement of words. It must be made very clear that the word cadre, to start with, is not a demeaning word, neither is it an insult. You often hear civil servants being referred to as a cadre of civil servants. So it must clearly be understood and appreciated that the word cadre is not in any way an insult. As an example, President HH is a cadre of the UPND. President Mpundu is a cadre of the Tonse Alliance. Binwell Mpundu is a cadre of the Tonse Alliance. So, in any way, the word cadre does not mean or does not refer to insults. Now, we are prompted to respond because, according to Mr. Solomon NGOMA, he insinuates that there is no way you can be insulting the very people that are going to manage the elections. Perhaps if we were to take ourselves back to where this is coming from, you all would remember that when Madam Zalomes was being appointed, we raised concerns because of our, leaning to the UPND or having been a member of the UPND. Because for those who are not aware, Madam Zalomes was a member of the UPND up to the date of being appointed to the Electoral Commission of Zambia. McDonald Chipenzi was a member of the UPND up to the day of him being appointed to be a commissioner at the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Just yesterday, you all witnessed the swearing-in ceremony of a named Zevianji Sinkala, who up to the date of election was actually chasing the Luansha parliamentary seat as an aspiring candidate under the UPND. And so you would appreciate why stakeholders are insinuating that the commissioners at the Electoral Commission of Zambia are cadres. Why is it important to listen to these misgivings? The fundamentals of holding a free and fair elections includes having commissioners that will not be biased. And the biasness stems from the fact that when one belongs to a political grouping, their judgment will obviously be conflicted because of their association with that political party. Public trust is everything in holding a free and fair election. If the members of the public do not believe that the people handling the elections are going to hold the elections or organize elections in a free and impartial manner, it compromises the integrity of the election. Independence. How do we expect that the Electoral Commission of Zambia is going to make independent decisions if the people managing the elections are drawn from a political party? Which is why, world over, it has always been established that people that are appointed to manage elections through the election body must never be attached to a political grouping. The statements we've been making suggesting that the electoral commissioners or the commissioners at the Electoral Commission of Zambia are cadres are all founded on facts that these individuals, up to the date of their being appointed, were members of the ruling party, the UPND. And for us, we believe that Mr. Solomon NGOMA is not basing his statement on sincerity. We want to believe that Mr. Solomon NGOMA, is very economic with the truth, because the truth, unfortunately, remains that the three individuals I have mentioned have been seriously aligned to the UPND, and we have every right to express the misgiving, suggesting that now the UPND are appointing cadres to head the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Now, the dangers with this status quo is that these individuals are going to be making very questionable decisions. As an example, just recently, you all saw a statement that was issued by the Electoral Commission of Zambia when they announced the pre-nomination activities. On the footnote of that statement, the Electoral Commission of Zambia quoted a law, the amended Electoral Process Act, which had not even found itself on the floor of Parliament. That is why stakeholders are within their right to continue, expressing reservations as to whether these individuals who are being drawn from a political party are going to be impartial and are going to make independent decisions insofar as the management of election in this country is concerned. Now, these reservations, these observations are extremely important if we are to ensure that the results and the process is free and fair. Already, fellow citizens, you are aware that the Constitution has already been abrogated. It must be brought to the attention of the citizens that the issue of the campaign period is a constitutional issue. Our Constitution provides for a 90-day campaign period. If you are to count from the 12th of August coming backwards, you will discover that we are already in the 90 days period and the election, the campaigns have not yet started. Why is this becoming, possible? Because of the, decisions that are being made by these individuals at the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Secondly, you all have heard how we have argued against the amendment to the Electoral Process Act, in which amendment a new qualification has been, or qualification criteria has been introduced, contrary to what is stipulated in our Constitution. For those who do not understand, the Constitution of this country spells out the qualification criteria for anyone who wants to aspire for presidency, for member of parliament, for council chairperson, as well as for a councillor. By the amendment to the Electoral Process Act that just happened last week, we have introduced now what they are calling an adoption certificate, which now must be signed by a president and a secretary general. Now, this new addition goes against the Constitution, which states and prescribes the criteria that one must meet for them to qualify to participate. All these things are now coming into public domain or are becoming contentious because of the decisions of the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Which decisions everybody with a sane state of mind would assume are being made because of the alignment of the people that are managing the election in this country. And so for us as Tonse, we will not stop at sending out condemnation to the appointing authority that you cannot continue to appoint politically connected individuals to manage the Electoral Commission of Zambia. I know that the politics in Zambia, in Africa and elsewhere is about rewards, and people that are loyal to a party system will be rewarded with positions, with business opportunities and the likes. The rule, however, remains that you cannot reward party cadres with positions at the Electoral Commission of Zambia because they will compromise on the integrity of the elections that are going to be managed by such a body. We felt compelled to respond to Mr. Solomon NGOMA because we have realized that Mr. NGOMA is very economic to the truth. He has misled himself in insinuating that the word CADRE is an insult. It must be made very clear. The word CADRE was never an insult. It is not an insult and will never be an insult. It is a word that is attached to an individual on the basis of the organization they belong to. If you are a civil servant, we will refer you to a cadre of the civil service. If you are a political player, we will refer you to a cadre of politics, period. And nothing can be added or subtracted. So Mr. NGOMA will do well to remember that election is a serious business, especially the general election of August 2026. And so Mr. NGOMA will do well to confine himself to these, office, matters and not address political players because he doesn't qualify based on his inability to make informed judgment about the things that are being spoken in public domain. So we thought it was prudent for us to give this clarity and response to this statement. I think